Hello, assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good morning, good morning. How are you guys doing today? I am fully dressed in my fall attire. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I am going to be going live today with a special guest to talk about some pretty cool stuff. Assalamu alaikum, everyone who is joining. Good morning, good morning. Walaikum assalam, moms for kids' sake. How are you doing? I see someone with the same name join, Sudduf Khan. How are you guys doing? All right, let me pin what we are talking about today. Hello. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. All right, let me see if I can add my special guest so we can start the live, inshallah. So you guys probably saw last week I was talking a bit about peaceful periods and my womb and how my whole perspective with respect to my period and my cycle has changed completely, and I now use it to my benefit. I'm someone who grew up with an extremely painful period and just really hated even being a woman because I had my period. I thought it was so unfair, and something I did last year really changed the game for me, changed everything. So let's have Chantal join us so we can have this discussion. And this is going to be a short chat, inshallah, just like 15 minutes or so. So if you've ever experienced pain with respect to your monthly cycle, this live is definitely for you. So Chantal, I'm trying to add you. It's just not working for some reason. So let's try again. There we go. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you?
Good, alhamdulillah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. I'm doing well today.
Nice to see you. I don't know why it was like giving me trouble adding you for some reason.
It's all right, mashallah. That's how it
Oh,
goes sometimes.
all right. So
You're hearing me good.
yeah, I can hear you well. It sounds like there's a peaceful stream behind you. Maybe out of
Awesome.
something?
Just a cloth,
Oh,
a
okay.
curtain.
I have sounds. I was just letting folks know that if they've ever experienced pain with respect to their period, or if they were like me and they hate their period or anything like that, they should definitely.
Yeah. I was curious. Well, for anyone who hasn't met me yet, my name is Chantal, the Honored Womb, and I am currently offering a course called Peaceful Periods and Happy Hormones, and I had the honor of having Sudduf join us last year when the course was offered, and I really wanted you to share with everyone, what drew you to the course, what attracted you, what were you seeking, what really spoke to you. Why was it such an easy yes for you to join us?
Yeah, so there was two main reasons I would say. Number one was you had done a master class in my membership for entrepreneurs, and you taught us how to use our 28 or 29-day cycle as sort of like our superpower when it comes to planning our business. And that was really the first time, even though I knew, like, women are on this like 20. Oh, am I frozen or is Chantal just frozen? Are we both frozen? Weird. I think we are both frozen. Can someone let me know in the comments if we are both frozen or if it's just Chantal that's frozen? Because I see folks joining, but I am not sure if we're both. Oh, okay. Am I frozen or am I good? I think I'm good. No, just Chantel. Okay, so we'll wait for her to add herself in again. But her question was, what made me want to join? And I said there was two things. The first was Chantel taught a whole bunch of women entrepreneurs in my membership how we could use our 28-day cycle as our superpower. So she literally told us, okay, like this week of your cycle, you are going to be the most productive because of the way your hormones are being produced and the way they're acting. This week of the month is the week where you're going to have bright skin. You're going to feel confident. So this is the week you should do lives and recordings and have your photo shoots. And then this is the week where you're going to want to plan work that you can do that doesn't require a lot of interaction, like maybe copywriting or things that you can do independently, because you're going to have lower energy, so you're not going to be able to do as much work, and B, you're just not going to want to interact as much with people. So she basically broke down our menstrual cycle in a way where we could plan our business around it. And I had never thought of it that way. I always thought that my period was holding me back from being successful, basically, and how unfair it was that men are on this like 24-hour cycle and women are on a 28-day cycle. Because you've probably okay, I'm trying to add her. You've probably also experienced this where you're like, how come I was so productive last week and this week I literally can't even get anything done? So what Chantel taught us is just like, it's because you're on a 28-day cycle. So each day is different for you in terms of your hormones every 28 days. Hey, you're back. So I've just been answering the question. So I was saying how like men are on a 24-hour cycle, whereas we're on a 28-day cycle. So that's why as an entrepreneur, I used to like beat myself up over like, oh my God, how come like I got so much done last week and this week I literally can't even finish one simple task. So Dika's asking which week is that. You'll have to definitely take the course to get those details, but it's definitely worth knowing if you're an entrepreneur, in my opinion. Now, that was the first reason why I took it, is because it helped me like be more efficient with my business, to be honest. And that's how it helps entrepreneurs. If you're not an entrepreneur, obviously it can help you with other aspects of your life too. So like, the weeks where you're going to do deep cleaning in your house, like literally you can plan it around your period. Like which weeks are you going to have that urge to like organize. And it's crazy because there was always weeks where I was like, man, I really feel like organizing. And now when I feel like that, I'm like, oh, I already know which week of my cycle this is. And like, I'm going to go with it. I'm not going to, prevent my body from doing what it wants to do. So it's super cool, even if you're, not an entrepreneur in any aspect of life. So that was the first reason why I took the course. The second reason was because of my daughters. So my own experience with my period was like, when I got my period, it was just like, okay, here's a pad. This is going to happen to you every month. You're not dying. And like, that was it. And like, God bless my family. That was, everyone was doing the best with what they had at the time and what they knew. But that really led me to this life of like, man, I hate this. Like 1 week of every month, I'm like dying. And I literally used to view it as that. So when I took this, when I signed up for this course, I was thinking about my own daughters and what their experience would be like, because even when they were born, I had this thought that like, oh my God, they only have like this many years before their life is going to suck because they have a period. And I wanted to take this course because I heard women talking about when they got their period and they had like parties and their moms gave them these gifts, and it was like this entry into womanhood and people were celebrating. So I was like, wait a second, this doesn't have to be miserable and horrible for my girls either. So for me, that was my second driving force, is like, I want my daughters to have a different experience than me. And SubhanAllah, after taking the class, I've already talked to Chantal about this. Like I'm thinking about, like, I'm going to make a box for my girls. I'll probably start putting it together in a couple of years. They're only 5 right now. Right. So, but like I'm actually excited. Like, okay, I'm gonna have pajamas in there, maybe some tea, like period underwear, and it's going to be. I basically get to change the narrative when it comes to that experience, and that's going to be generational. Like they'll pass that on,
Yeah.
inshallah. So, it seemed like a small, like it might seem like a small thing, but it's not. It's
Yeah.
huge because their relationship with their womb will be so different than mine. And I mean, those are just 2 points. My period is like so much better since taking the course. I just, yeah, I don't hate it. I lean into it. I don't feel guilty about listening to my body. And yeah, there's so many things.
I literally saw a friend of mine who's also an entrepreneur post, like, I need productivity tips. What can I do to be more productive? And it's like, align with your cycle. The female body is inherently productive. We are producing eggs, we are producing tissues, we produce babies. Like, we're inherently productive. So, this very external, masculine, measure your output. Through these material means, it's like, well, the feminine nature and the feminine body is just in its being. It is always producing and is always giving. And so, and sometimes just knowing that that science is there helps you to like not question like why am I having a hard time doing this one thing and this thing is easier for me? Let me just push through because I need to do the same thing every day. I need to be efficient. I need to be efficient. And it's like, oh, so that's why I feel more inclined to do this kind of work. Oh, that's why I'm struggling to get out of bed. My body actually needs a little bit more rest during this phase. This is why I'm having cravings. I actually need more calories during this phase because my metabolism has shifted. And so it's just been powerful to almost give women a pass to take care of themselves. It's like we don't get that. It's like you have permission to listen to your body and not think that your body is working against you or getting in the way of you thriving, being successful, living your best life and all of that. Like your body is actually your ally, and when we have those symptoms, it's just a response. I was actually blown away by how quickly your period shifted. Because I remember you attended the first session live, and then I didn't see you for a couple of sessions, but you were diligently paying attention and following along. And then the next time I saw you in a class, you were like, guess what? My period has already shifted. And so that was really, really powerful. And I was almost in tears when you talked about like how even your husband was listening and attending to where you were at in your cycle and what you needed. So if you care to share any of that, I thought it was really moving.
Yeah, and actually, I'm just like nearing the end of my cycle right now too. And I was, subhanAllah, I was just thinking last night. My husband brought me Starbucks, and I was like, and he texted me saying like, "I'm bringing you a PSL because you're not feeling well." And I was like, "Wait a second." When he came home, I was like, "What do you mean I'm not feeling well?" And he's like, "Oh, I know, like you're on your period, and like that's what I meant." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, and it's been like almost a year since I've taken the class, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that this happens all the time, but like I would speak to my husband about what I learned in the class, and because obviously he's a father of daughters too, so I want him to know. He didn't have any sisters growing up, so he's like he didn't know any of these things, so he started understanding as well that that's why I'm different every day. Like that's why it's like, oh man, like she was in such a good mood last week and now this. And it was less of the what we see on TV of like, oh, PMS and oh, you're in a mood, and more of like, oh, you actually need more rest right now. Like you actually like let me take the kids, and like this is, what you need right now is just to be alone, or like I'll draw a bath for you. And it became like this education process where it's not just about me, it's about the people around me, too. And yeah, he is in tune. And before, it wasn't a conversation we could have at all. Like it was just like, ew, like let's not talk about the period, like, and literally he bought he just like he buys my pads now, or like he'll be like, wait, you never told me if it's regular or with wings, or like which ones. Yeah.
Oh.
And I mean, he got it partially wrong this time, but like it's crazy because before it was like this thing that like nobody knows about it and I'm dealing with it alone. And now it's just like, yeah, this is part of a woman's body and it's not just her, it affects the whole family. And you told us about an app that we can use, so I've been using that app. And like my husband often says, like, you know, depending on the type of day we're having, he'll be like, can you just check your app, is the headache because of this? And I'm like, oh my god. Like, wow, he's really in tune with that now as well. Yeah. Or if I'm getting frustrated easily, he'll be like, okay, like maybe check your app, just to get me also being not blaming myself for the frustration.
Yeah.
And then being like, oh, actually, yeah, like it says that this is pretty normal for this time. So alhamdulillah, it's been pretty cool. I even forgot about that. It's kind of like a bonus, almost, because now I'm just so used to him being part of that. And just listen, yeah, and beyond like that experience with my husband is like I feel less guilt about listening to my body. Before I would push through, I would be like, oh my god, I'm so tired, but you know what, I'm gonna go to this event anyways, I'm gonna do this thing anyways. But now it's so liberating because I'm like, no, my body's telling me I need to sleep, I'm gonna sleep, and then I know that I'm gonna be efficient afterwards, or you know, I'll get things done. And I can tell you that I haven't been less productive. I haven't gotten less work done. Nothing has reduced. It's just the guilt. The guilt associated with resting has reduced. And they're not, the tips that you give us are not something that are really hard to implement. That's why when you said like you were surprised at how quickly my period changed, I'm typically like a star student when it comes to anything I take. I'm sure you guys aren't surprised. But it was like simple things like eating warm foods instead of cold foods at certain times of the month. Listening to like the rest was a huge thing. And then even just the logical brain part of it, where before I used to view certain things like a cramp, I would view that as like the end of the world. Whereas like now I view it as like, oh, my body is telling me that like I need this or I'm deficient in this, and just a whole different perspective versus like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. Like, why is my period like this? Why is it this color? Whereas now there's nothing wrong with me. It's just like, the output is telling me what to do, kind of like, okay, this is an indicator of something. So yeah, anyways, I'm talking so much, I'm just very excited.
No, I am too. I feel like I would like for you to speak to a lot of women, you know, over like more than 600 women signed up for a free class I offered last weekend, and it's still available on replay. If you sign up, you'll get the replay. But then to see like how few women are really like, they know that they want it, but it's so hard for them to invest in something that's just for them. And this is something I spoke to in my email list. If it's not a class or a training that's going to enable us to have a certificate or make more money, or if it's not something that's connected to our home or our children, some women really have a hard time just investing in themselves. And as an entrepreneur, and I'm sure you've had to strengthen this muscle in seeing the value in investing in yourself. Do you have any advice for those women? Or can you speak to the return on your investment that you've seen when you invested in the course?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I am generally someone who, even if I'm investing in, say, going to the spa or taking a course like this, like I already know that the return it does actually affect my bottom line. So while it seems like there's no relationship, but yes, I do show up differently in my business and I do make more money because I'm more in tune with my body. Like when I get a massage or a facial as well, like I know that I show up 100% in my business versus like, 60%. So for me, it is like very, like logical, because it does increase your bottom line in a sense, because you're more efficient. But I think like for women, what might help make that investment is, yes, it's going to help you, but the information you learn is actually something you can teach the girls in your community or your daughters. So as women, we are just generally teachers, right? Like regardless of whether we're teaching in a school, like we're teaching people around us. So if you have a daughter, or if you have a niece, or you do have access to the community, you potentially have the ability to be the person who changes the narrative for like an entire generation or an entire community, because you becoming knowledgeable about this topic, you're likely going to be one of the only ones around who can share this knowledge. And then when you share it with a girl, right, you share it with even a teenager or a young girl, she's going to be able to continue sharing that. So we have the potential to change the narrative for all of these communities. So I know women are selfless and they don't want to think of it as something that's going to help themselves. So hopefully that kind of helps you see how it is something that you can teach others. Someone's saying, how do we access the free masterclass? There's a link in Chantel's bio, I believe, where you can sign up,
Yeah,
or
and
bit.ly
I'll put
slash
here.
raising daughters.
Raise daughters. Yeah, I'll put it here as well.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, if you sign up for the free class, you'll get the replay automatically. And on top of it, this year, the price of the course has dropped, and you have a coupon to offer your community, don't you?
Yes, I can't remember what the coupon code is, but I did also, do you want to share that? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's just your name 50, so all
Oh,
caps set of 50.
okay, cool.
So if you,
The course
yeah,
is
I'll put it
already
here.
open. How much is it?
So it's 297 this year.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think I paid double, and I did pay for it, right? It wasn't,
Yes.
yeah, like I
Hmm.
invested it. I'm like, I did pay. Yeah, like Chantel didn't just give it to me. Like I was like, whoa, this is like, I need to learn this. And like education is one of those things where you can't even put a price tag on it. But you can use my code SUDDUF50 for $50 off. And I spoke to Chantel, and because I'm Pakistani, and with everything happening in Pakistan, Chantel agreed to donate a percentage of proceeds to Pakistan flood relief, and specifically with respect to period health and women's health, because there's just a lot happening over there, and I can't imagine the women who are giving birth and on their period and don't have access to these supplies. So when you do sign up, you will also be making a donation to that. So thanks for doing that, Chantel.
Oh no, I mean it had been on like the cause had been on my mind, and I remember we had a conversation. I said, I know you're so busy right now with fundraising for Pakistan, and then it was like we had this shared light bulb, like this is a great opportunity. Like there's an effort to, you told me there's someone who's collecting period kits, and it's like, oh, that would be such a beautiful way to make that connection as we're healing our own relationship with our wombs and our periods, that we are also giving dignity and care and sustainable period products to women in need who on a regular day need it. Like there's so much period poverty on a regular day,
Yeah.
compounded with a third of the country being underwater, like it just compounds the need for the care. So thank you for pointing me in that direction and helping us, like find a way to make that connection between what's happening right now and the individual work. And I, like you said, it's, you have the opportunity to shift your cultural story, your cultural narrative around periods. It doesn't have to be hide, shame, icky, taking me away from my worship, taking me away from my work. We can switch the form, we can switch that whole story and instead say, this is something to celebrate. This is something that I can impact with my choices.
Mm-hmm.
If you've had a horrible period, that doesn't mean you always will have it, but you do need the information to make that shift. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
so glad you were a part of it. So the format of the course this year, trying to just get more women exposed to this information, we've shifted the format so that it's partially recorded lessons as well as live grounding sessions, which are like Q&A sessions, integration sessions where we can process the information together. So it'll be a 6-week course running from September 18th to October 30th, I believe. And there'll be a weekly lesson and a weekly live session, and you'll also get a digital journal. Do you still use your journal? I talked to Orly. She was like, I still print out my journal.
Oh,
And she still uses it.
I use the app to track my
Awesome.
yeah, I've been using the app
Yeah.
for digital, yeah.
Yeah, and that app also tracks symptoms, so that's really helpful too. So have to be on camera. So for the live sessions, that's only for the women enrolled in the course. And yeah, full presence is expected. If you wear niqab, that's fine. You can show up in your niqab, but part of building trust with other women and creating a safe space is actually showing up. I love you too. So it's actually showing up and being present, right? Even that is something that some women don't realize is part of their medicine and are part of their healing, being comfortable, being seen, and being heard,
Hmm.
and knowing that you're valued in a space with other women and that you can share and be, feel vulnerable enough to share with other women who see you and want to see you rise as well. So thank you so much for your time. As we repost these stories, we can put all of the relevant links. Don't forget to use your discount code from Sudduf. And if you have any questions, feel free to tag me, message me, DM me.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Chantel. And if anyone has any questions, you can also send me a DM. I'm going to share a couple of other stories about the course on my stories now when I end this. So make sure you watch those as well and follow Chantel too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.